Hello everybody, this is Mr. Young here, and we are going to spend a little time together learning how to create tables. We did this in class today, but I want to give you an opportunity to review it and spend some time learning how to prevent from making some mistakes in our future project, which is all about throwing data into a table. So you can see I made a basic web page here. I put a title up here, and then here's my table. If you're not familiar with a table, it's just like a table in Microsoft Word. It's essentially a chart or a box in which we can group or organize data together with columns and rows. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. We're going to go through together and make a simple table that will show our class schedule for the spring semester. So what we need to do is go in and fire up our program text, and we're going to start a new web page from scratch. So I'm going to go through and type it up. And again, here in the beginning, it's always good to get some practice typing this up so that you can learn it a little bit quicker. So I'm going to go through and type this up. You can do the same. And I'll call this table tutorial. There we go. If I can prevent from making some typos. Whoop. And I'll put in my body tag, and I'm going to give it that color you saw, orange. Okay, and I'm going to come down some and create my closing tags, and that's just to prevent from typing them later, or prevent from forgetting them later, I should say. Okay, so there we go. We got our basic web page. I'm going to save as and find a place to save that, and now I have a web page. Here we go. Okay, so in order to create a table, we need to declare the table itself. So there's a table tag or a tag that simply just creates tables. So I'm going to say table. And then I'm going to add a border on this table, the border attribute. And what that's going to do is allow us to see the table. We can create tables that do not have a border on them. A lot of modern web pages that you've gone to, CNN or any of the clothing websites, they're just completely full of tables, but they turn the border off because they tend to look a little bit dated and they don't look very attractive. Here in the beginning, we're going to keep them turned on so that you can see what you're doing. Even a good designer that's setting up a web page will often have the title on until they're finished with the page, and then they'll turn the title off. So to turn the title on, we put a 1. This number can go all the way up to 1,000. You can make really thick borders, but I will tell you, I only use the thinnest one, which is 1, just so I can see where my table is. And then when I'm finished, I'll put a 0 to get rid of it. But for right now, we'll leave a 1. So this one declares the table. Now I'm going to create the first row in my table, and in order to do that, I use what's called a TR tag, which stands for table row. In a web page, you can't just declare a web page, or excuse me, a table any way you want to. I can't just make the columns first and then the rows second. HTML is strict about the way it makes tables. You have to declare the row first, then we declare the boxes in the row before we move on to the second row. Okay, so we're going to make the first row first and the second row second. We can't just kind of go anywhere we want to when we design this. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to say my first row, and then I have to do a second tag, and that's the TD tag. TD stands for table data, and what the TD tags do, and you'll make 2 of them, is they create one box inside the table. So if I switch back over here, you see here I have, oh, it didn't switch it back over for me. Minimize here for a second. You can see here we have a box. Okay, this one box is made with an opening and a closing TD tag. So it takes a pair of TD tags, opening and closing, to make each box in the first row. So there it is. I'm going to put period in there. Now in order to make the second box in the same row, I'm going to make another set of TD tags and put class and close. Again, you can see each box is surrounded with a pair of bookends here, essentially an open and closing TD tag. And then when I'm ready to move on to the second row, it's super important that I close the first row. One of the most common mistakes students make when first learning to make HTML tables is they forget to close the row, and they just keep making boxes, and they wonder why the first row of the web page has so many boxes in it. You have to close a row when you're finished. So this one has to match this one. Similarly, a lot of students, when they make a box, they think they have to close the row after each box. You only close the row when you truly finish adding boxes in the row. Okay, now I could type this whole thing again, but since my design is the same number of columns all the way, excuse me, the same number of rows all the way down, I don't have to keep typing it. One of the fastest ways to save time is just to highlight, Control C on your computer, hold on the Control key first and then C, and then Control V to paste. And I'm just going to go through and type over and use this like a template. So a 1 there, and then what is your first period class? I'll type it in there. Personal finance for me. Yay. So there it is. I come down to the second row, actually the third row, and I'm going to type over it again. Control V to paste, and I'm going to say 2. And what is your second period? I'm going to say mine is multimedia design. And I'm just going to keep going all the way down the list here until I get them, my schedule all put together here. So if you want to take a second and make yours while I'm going through and making mine, that would be great. Let's see. I'll try to speed this up a little bit. I was like, what's fifth period? I almost forgot about you guys there. Okay, sixth period. See, I'm just copying and pasting, and I'm using that first row up here as an example. So my sixth period there, I'm going to put in, I've got Java programming in there. And then seventh period, I'm back to finance. So hopefully you've got yours put together. There's mine. So not all that complicated, I hope. We declare the table, and then we declare one row at a time. If I wanted a third box in this first row, I would just add one more set of TD tags right here after the first 2. Very last thing we need to do is we need to remember to close the table. Because if not, the rest of your web page will get really confused because it's going to think that future data, whether it be pictures or videos, it's going to try to squeeze it in the table in some way, and it's not going to look pretty. So close your table. Okay, we're ready to save. And I'm going to go over here and refresh my web page. And look what we have here. I've got my period, and I've got my class, and all my numbers are perfectly lined up in the first column, and all my classes are lined up here. Okay, that was made possible by setting up my first row correctly and then copying and pasting and typing over those numbers. I like to refer to that as templating. If you're going to make a table with a consistent design, that's the easy way to do it. Okay, now moving on. We can apply specific colors to rows in order to make them a little bit more attractive. So just like we can apply a BG color to the background of the web page, I can apply a BG color to the background of my row. So I'm going to save it there and refresh. And look in there, you'll see I have a black background, looks great, except now I can't see my text. Well, you guys know from using font tags how to do that. Here's the only thing that can be a little frustrating. Until we get to cascading style sheets, which really speeds up and sophisticates your style, you have to type the font color into each set of TD tags. So I'm going to say white here. And the good news is we don't have to close tags inside, inside TD tags. That's because each set of TD tags is almost created like a little mini web page. But if it makes you feel better, you can go in and put a closing font before the TD tag and guarantee that it stops. I'm going to go over to this one. I copied, so I'm going to paste that font color white in front of my class name and close my font tag here and save. Again, pause at any point if you need to stop and look at that code. Refresh, and there it is. You see that I have colors here, and we can apply colors to any different color you want. All those hexadecimal colors I showed you can be applied to any row. Also, we can apply colors to just one box if we want to. Let's say, for instance, we want to highlight which period is your favorite class. And I know you're automatically saying, you're thinking to yourself, it's web design. No kidding. So I'm going to go in there and do that. I'm going to go into my fifth period. Let me arrow over here a little bit. I'm going to go inside, this time inside the TD tag, because I only want this box to stand out. And I'm going to say, hey, make this one stand out because it's my favorite class. So again, I'm adding that BG color attribute after the TD tag because I want just that box to shine. So I saved it. I'll go here and refresh. And you can see we can make any particular box shine. That is all we need to know for a first video about how to add or create a table, how to create rows and columns, how to insert data into a table, how to change colors for either a row or a column. The next video I'll demonstrate is just a small add-on, and that's how you add pictures inside these boxes. If you know how to use an IMG tag, then you know how to put a picture in a box. It's just simply putting the IMG tag inside instead of a name or after the name. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to shoot me an email, and I'll walk through that with you. Don't forget to answer the questions at the end of this video. I promise they're there this time, and get that participation credit. Thanks for watching, guys.